Good morning. It's 9:30, and I'm feeling a tiny bit better than what I have been over the last 5 days since returning from Taiwan. We had a very different holiday in Taiwan. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was unlike any other country I've ever been to. The most confusing country in the world, and lovely people. Look, Taiwanese people, gosh, can't fault. Food was a bit, I mean, I've spoken about this anyway. It's kind of a lot of Western influence there, so it was a bit sort of fried chicken and oh god, it didn't sit well on your stomach, in all honesty. So yeah, the food wasn't great, but that's another story. So anyway, look, returned on Friday. I had a mark on my elbow, and I didn't really think that much of it. It sort of happened a few days before, and it was just a tiny little mark, and it almost looked like a spot, but it was obviously like a skin puncture. And it took a few days, but that sort of that spot or whatever it was got bigger and bigger and bigger. So there we go. If you compare, I mean, this is my bad elbow, obviously. This is my good one. You can see it's significantly swollen. The spot, or whatever you want to call it, in the centre is a lot bigger than what it was. And I was concerned, to say the least. Now, I went to urgent care here in Midland, in North Street, actually. So I suppose the equivalent of urgent care would be like the old walk-in centres that you used to get in the UK. I don't know if you still got them. That's why I'm saying old. I really haven't got a clue. But anyway, I went there. I was first in the queue, sat outside on the chairs, waiting to be seen. And saw a lovely, lovely doctor, and she took one look at it and she said, "Yep, you've got an infection." And she said, "It looks like a spider bite." How I got bitten by a spider in Taiwan, I just don't know. I mean, yes, it can happen. I mean, whether it be in bed sheets or whatever, it can happen. So, it is what it is. She said to me, "Right, I'm going to give you a course of antibiotics." Now, she gave me the same antibiotics that I always get. Staph something. Can't remember what it's called. And she said, "You need to take this course for 6-7 days." And she gave me some antibiotic ointment to put on the infected area as well. Now, it was a few days later. I'd taken 6 courses of the antibiotics, and I was feeling significantly worse. Now, antibiotics don't make me feel well anyway, so I mean, I was feeling quite sick. So I knew there was something up, and it was really. Look, I had a similar issue in Vietnam, and it was more or less in the same sort of place, and I ended up in hospital then, and I had an operation to remove whatever these things were, but I never got any results back. So yesterday I was at home, and I'm still taking this course of antibiotics, etc., etc. It's getting redder and redder. Now, they said to me I need to spend the day with my arm raised. I've got to get it as raised as far as possible. So whatever it is drains down to the lymph nodes, because then they deal with all the debris, etc. Sleeping as well with your arm up, or I had to sort of have it elevated on cushions just to keep it up. And, it wasn't really working, to be honest with you. And in all honesty, even I can tell there's not really anything there. But that's another story again. Mum-in-law came round with her neighbour yesterday, so I'm sort of laying on the sofa. It's hot outside. I mean, I don't feel the heat so much anyway, but it was lovely and cool inside, so I'm laying on the sofa watching Netflix. Mum-in-law come round with a neighbour and let her in. And she took one look at it and she said, you really need to go to hospital. And I said, no, I don't. I said, I'm fine. Literally, I'm okay. Antibiotics will work eventually, and, you know, it's okay. But they insisted, so I went down to the emergency department of St John of God in Midlands, who, by the way, are a fantastic hospital. Can't fault them at all. I got there about, I suppose it was about 1:30, and I eventually got out about 6, and that's everything. So that's treatment, the lot. So anyway, I was waiting to be seen. They called my name, and I went down to a department called AECU, whatever that is. I don't know what that department is. Again, I'm not a medical professional. I have no idea. So they took me down. I was put in a cubicle for assessment, and 2 doctors come in, and they said same sort of thing, really. Yeah, spider bite, whatever it is. It basically broken skin that's caused an infection. So in the past, I've been told, if you have it, like, so for example, if I've had operations in the past, I've been told not to fly within a certain amount of time because of open wounds, etc. You're advised not to. So the skin was broken in my arm, and she said it looks like a spider bite. And that had allowed infection to get in. Now, the previous infection, I never got any results back from the previous trip to St John. And she said, look, I can get those results for you now. This is like 6 months later, but I didn't need those results. You know, what they did an operation, it solved the problem, and I was fine. So she come back and she said, look, she said the previous time you had a infected cyst removed from under my arm. Now that actually grew so quickly, it grew in like 48 hours. And I had a number of lesions around here. You can't actually see them because this is so swollen. You can't actually see the original ones at the moment. But she actually turned around and said what it was Staphylococcus aureus, but it was penicillin resistant. So the antibiotics they were initially giving me were not going to work. Absolutely not. And she looked at my arm and she said, it looks as though this could be a similar scenario where the antibiotics are not going to work. And so she said, we need to do, first of all, they need you to do a number of tests. So they did a full blood count, which I will get back today. They've also done, they tried to do a culture test. So she tried to take something off of this. And she said, I can't really get much because there's not much there. And there isn't. I don't know quite really what it is because it's not filled with pus or anything. I've no idea. So she's done her best and she said, look, we'll send it off and we go from there. And hopefully we will get some more information. But she said, what we need to do is give you IV antibiotics. So she said, we need to, sort of get a PICC line in and get that sorted. Now, I've still actually got the PICC line in, and she said, we're going to keep that in because she said, we don't know how many times you're going to have to come back. So having a shower this morning was interesting. So I had to glad wrap or clean film, as you say in the UK, my whole arm, and also here, so they can still see the blue line, and also this, which I need to keep on as well. And they will do the same thing today. So yesterday, IV antibiotics, it took about half, I had to take 2 pills actually first, bloody big horse pills. And she said what that does, she says it keeps that in the blood system, whatever that means. And then had the antibiotics directly injected. She said, you need to come back tomorrow and we will do exactly the same thing again. And hopefully it hasn't got any worse. They don't really know at the moment what it is, what's causing it, why it's not, why it's probably penicillin resistant again, which is a concern, because it's like I've said in the past, it doesn't mean every single infection that I get is now going to be penicillin resistant, because that would be an issue going forward. I did ask her that question. She said no. She said it depends on the infection. She said when you're traveling around the world, she said you do pick up other infections that we're not used to, or whatever. And she said if you're bitten by a spider and then an infection gets in and all the rest of it, she said it will cause all sorts of problems, which it has. I was due back at work yesterday. Obviously, I'm off today, and I'm hoping that's it. I'm hoping I can just go back to work, because for my own sense of well-being, I need to be at work. Who knows? So that little holiday to Taiwan has once again turned into a bit of a, not disaster, but it's turned into a bit of a pain. And it's the same thing that happened in Vietnam, and the same things happened here. So, maybe somebody's saying to me, look, have a nice holiday in Australia. I know Darryl was talking about maybe going to Bali, but from talking to other people, Bali would probably be even worse than Taiwan, so it's probably not advisable. The difference is, when we flew to Taiwan, the flight is really long, so it's 8-9 hours. That's a long time to be on a plane. So it's, Darryl come back ill when he wasn't well. So, if I am bitten by something and you do get an infection, my biggest problem is I sit on an aisle seat, so I've got my arm out all the time. So if there's anything going on and people brush past and there's anything wrong with them, and they're coughing and sneezing and there's germs in the air and it's like an open cut, then you're going to get something, clearly. And that's the way it is. So obviously, go back today, find out what's going on, and go from there, really. Just a word or two. Obviously, being off work, I've managed to sort of catch a bit of news since I've got back, and two subjects close to my heart. First one, you've got the budget in the UK, I think today, I believe. And it means stuff to me because I have investments and shares and stuff in the UK. So obviously what happens there will determine what happens to my investments and pensions. I've got pensions in the UK. So I'm hoping, it's not going to be, I hope I'm not going to lose any more money, because I've lost so much money on pensions over the years. It's been utterly, utterly dreadful. So I don't know. Let's just see what the new Chancellor does. But, it doesn't look great at the moment. And also the American election. You bloody Americans are going to vote that Trump person back in again. Why do you do it? Why do you inflict him on the rest of the world? It's not good. And it's not going to end well. It didn't end well last time. The guy's a convicted abuser. He's a felon. He tried to incite a riot. What the hell are you doing? Why are you voting for this man? You can tell I must be okay myself, because I wouldn't be saying these things. Otherwise I'd be quite forlorn. I'm not forlorn. For me, it's just the pain here, and the pain with Trump, and the pain with the budget. But otherwise, I'm fine. Voice is a bit at the moment, but otherwise, I'm okay. So, I'm hoping I will be back at work tomorrow. There's no guarantees. They're going to let me know today. Once they have, the results, I will know what's going on further. And I really, really, really just hope I can get back to work. And, this isn't going to take too long to clear up. I have a feeling it might take a while, and I might have to have quite a few IV antibiotics. But, that remains to be seen. If there's a moral to any of this, really, it's... I couldn't have done more to prevent it. I took chlorhexidine, the surgical scrub, with me which I was advised to take it anyway, anywhere, and because it destroys any bugs that I have on my skin. But even that didn't work. Antiseptic wipes didn't work. As soon as I noticed something not right, it should have been covered up, and I didn't do that. That's the problem. So as soon as the moral is, as soon as you know, as soon as you think you've had a bite or something, you need to get it covered up, and I should have done. And had I done that, I probably would have been okay today. But you know, you just don't think. You're on holiday and you do what you do, really. And do you know what? It is so sore at the moment. It really is pulling. But and it is big. I mean, I just don't know how bad it is. She said, you know, there are different scenarios that they will work on, and hopefully this first one will work. Otherwise, it might be a little bit more, you know, hairy for a while. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, look, that's it for this week. It's an early vlog because I just haven't got the time to be doing it at the weekend. I don't even know where I'm going to be at the weekend, so you know, I thought I'd get it out of the way now and sorted. Do you like the painting? Oh, where am I? Behind. That's a South African artist. I bought it because it reminded me so much of Mother, not my mother, but Paul Judd, who was like mother of the gay scene in Southampton. And it reminded me of her on our nights out clubbing. That was the splitting image of her. It's a real oil painting. It's wonderful. I look at it and it makes me smile every single time. So yes, I've got things going on, but when I look at that painting, it really makes me smile, and it just makes me think, do you know what? I've had a good life. So if I die tomorrow, I'm not going to die tomorrow, but if I did, I've had a good life. I'm happy. There we go. Right, I'm going. Things to do before I go back to the hospital. So look after yourselves and ciao for now.